When you're a kid, you don't focus on the negative. Rather, you try and find the brightness in everything. And that's exactly what Mooney did in The Florida Project. Mooney is a 6-year-old girl living in a budget hotel just outside of Disney with her mom, Haley. The majority of this film is told through the eyes of Mooney. Director and writer Sean Baker and cinematographer Alexi Zabe wanted the audience to feel like they knew Mooney.
We're not supposed to go in. But let's go anyway.
To feel as though they spent the summer with her. To make this happen, most of the scenes were shot at a very low angle. Eye level is now the level of a child. In this scene where Bobby walks outside, the cinematographer and director decided to use a steady cam, shooting from a low angle while tracking as Bobby walks, telling the crowd that he fixed the power. It is in this moment that Bobby looks successful and he feels triumphant. The colors in the film are very vibrant, but not vibrant enough to be a fantasy whimsical movie. The cinematographer wanted to show perhaps the innocent and naive nature that children have, and that is often lost in later years. And this is shown from the very start of the movie with the opening credits. In the opening credits, the song Celebrate plays, giving the audience the feeling that they are going to be watching a happy, upbeat movie. Although this movie is upbeat, it's not just a depressing movie trying to make us feel bad either. Its story is told through the pastel lens of a child who doesn't understand the societal norms, a kid just being a kid, running off every day to play with her friends. Mooney is a very resourceful child and learned much of this from her mother. There's no doubt in my mind that she has watched her mother sell perfume to strangers before and learned how to survive on her own. In a way, watching Mooney play with her friends and have such confidence as she roams around the surrounding areas of the Magic Castle Hotel can be nostalgic. You can reminisce about the times when it was acceptable to let your kids play all day and then come back for dinner. However, this can also be hard to watch because you know that Haley is never supervising her daughter, and Mooney on some of her adventures are doing really bad things, and she's never getting called out or getting in trouble for these things. Something that was interesting to me while watching this movie was that every time we see Haley try to sell her perfume, it's always a wide angle. I think this is to show how big the world really is. In the scenes where Mooney is walking with her mother or walking with her friends, these are also wide-angle shots, making the kicks smaller than they really are. In one of the wide-angle shots, you can see the nicer buildings, beginning of the Disney Resort. This reinforces the idea of juxtaposition, how Disney and even Florida to a certain extent are happy. Families come from all over to go to the resort, and just a few miles away are people struggling to make ends meet.
Could you give us some change, please? We need to buy ice cream.
By the look on Jankie's face, she hasn't done this before. She might even feel a little uncomfortable. Mooney, on the other hand, has done this several times, and this has become normal for her. Similar to when she goes to get bread from the local food bank, we don't see any of the adults' faces because we don't have to. When the protective services come to get Mooney, we see all their faces because this is not new to Mooney, and we have to witness it with her. All of the film's hardest moments to watch are shown from the child's point of view. For example, when we see Haley beating up Ashley after she confronts Haley of prostitution, we aren't seeing Haley's point of view. Throughout this movie, we see Haley have many outbursts of anger. We also see Mooney have her fair share of outbursts. One of the first scenes in this movie is Mooney spitting on a car and showcasing her not-so-polite demeanor. When she is punished for spitting on the car with her friends, she even makes the situation bright. She makes a new friend. And it is this friend that she runs off to when she realizes her life is ultimately going to change. We can attribute Mooney's behavior to the environment she lives in, an environment with drugs, alcohol, predators, poverty, and the list can go on. We are made to sympathize with her, and perhaps be empathetic to Mooney's situation. Mooney is imitating the actions that her mother models, the actions that her mother takes to provide. In this scene where Haley is working, we can infer what's happening, but this is how the film decides to tell us what's happening.
Out. Pull the curtain on. Whatever. Out.
As opposed to when Bobby sees a predator lurking around the children.
Your guest here?
No, I'm looking for a soda machine.
You come to a motel to get a soda?
Yeah, it's okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Towards the end, Haley knew that her daughter was going to be taken away. She wanted to give her daughter one last good memory. You can argue everything Haley has done has been for Mooney. The prostitution, the selling perfume, all of it. She tried to make it fun for Mooney and not completely expose her to the struggles she has to deal with. She wanted her daughter to be happy and have the most normal life she could provide. Seeing this movie and seeing the relationship between Mooney and Haley, it is clear that this is a cycle and it will continue to happen. The two act like friends or sisters rather than mother and daughter. It would be harder for us to be sympathetic if we saw Haley through the eyes of Bobby, but Sean Baker made us see her through the eyes of Mooney, the person who adores her most in this world. What I think happened at the end of the Florida Project because director Sean Baker wanted the ending of the film to be left up to interpretation. and he purposefully shot the end sequence differently, adding a cinematic score in the background, changing the frame rate, and using an iPhone as opposed to 35mm film the rest of the movie uses. I believe what happened is that Jiangxi helps Mooney imagine a better reality. Mooney did this for Jiangxi when Mooney said that she took Jiangxi on a safari. It was now Jiangxi's turn to show Mooney the imaginative power. What's really interesting about Sean Baker's film style is that it's a mix of narrative fiction and documentary-style filming. His films are character-driven. You understand why they make the decisions they make and why they are in the position they are in. At its core, this movie is about poverty while touching on socio-economic problems, and tells the story that you might have never heard otherwise.